I'm in our backyard, and we have been very blessed with a pretty neat property. It goes back to the big tree line that you can probably see behind me if you look through there, past those trash cans. One thing that I'm going to be working on is cleaning up this brick pile that I am about to show you. I bought this house in March, and it is currently the end of May, so we've been here for just over 2 months, and we had a lot of stuff like this lying around. These trash cans, these tarps, looks like a truck toolbox of some kind. It's got some odds and ends in there. The little potting shed has got some things in it, but we have uncovered approximately a whole pallet worth of bricks from stuff out in our side gardens. And this right here, I've actually been at this for about 20 minutes now, doing a variety of things, pulling down some poison ivy vines. See that big monster right there? That was actually a type of ivy, I think, maybe poison ivy. I think that's what Linnea said, and that has gone all the way up this gorgeous oak tree here. So I have ripped that off, at least off of the tree. That's going to come out pretty nicely. Trim back this juniper, I think. Trim back this juniper, and also this pine tree a little bit, so we'll be able to walk through here. But what I'm going to do is tackle this brick pile here so we can actually begin to use some of these bricks, probably out front either for planters or sidewalk or something like that. But I'll check back in a little bit and let you see what's going on. This strap right here under the brick confirms to me that we probably had a whole pallet back here, and a lot of these are buried down in here. Thankfully hadn't run into anything too unsavory just yet, just some millipedes and some spiders, but a decent little pair of work gloves from Lowe's is working out pretty nicely. I don't know if you can see down here, but what looks like underneath these leaves right here, I've got at least one other row of bricks, and we've hit dirt underneath that, but I've got some more bricks that are totally buried under here. So we're gonna get all this stuff out, and it'll be really interesting to see what kind of situation we got. I don't know if you can see that. I'm starting to pull up some of that now. Usually we'll see what kind of situation we've got with how many bricks, how many are still usable for putting in some kind of planter or something like that. But I'm looking forward to it. This is a lot of yard. This is the largest yard that Linnea and I have ever owned, and we're pretty excited to have this kind of project for us. We've got a house that was built in the 90s, as my students like to say, the 1900s. We have a house that was built in the 90s, and for the 1990s, this was probably considered a small mansion. In the 2020s, it's still a pretty awesome house, and we have tried to make it a point to be good stewards of whatever it is that God has blessed us with, whether it's money, resources, time, energy, opportunities, things like that. And this house is actually going to be a pretty extraordinary opportunity for us. So one step at a time. I'm reminded of that wonderful verse from Colossians chapter 3, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly. When that word of Christ, which is the gospel about Christ, the gospel that, at least in the context of Colossians, gives us a really good understanding of who Jesus is and how Christ is all supreme, and therefore you don't need to add anything to him as if he is insufficient. That's kind of what Paul was dealing with there, particularly in Colossians chapter 2. But when that word of Christ, that message about Christ really dwells in us and begins to take up residence. That's the word that Paul uses. He uses a word that has a connotation of being housed and living within a space. And that word of Christ dwells in us richly. All kinds of extraordinary things can happen in a relatively simple space, or a space, maybe a person that has experienced some degree of neglect or disrepair in kind of a spiritual or emotional sense. When the word of Christ begins to dwell richly, things begin to grow, they begin to flourish. And we take that very seriously in our own lives, or try to. But we also take that kind of seriously when we move into a new place. We try to make it better, try to be good stewards and embody that Genesis chapter 1 commission, or not necessarily commission, but that Genesis chapter 1 calling, that we are God's image, His commissioned representatives in the world with royal and priestly prerogatives here on earth. And that means something as simple as cleaning up our space in order to take care of it, so that good things can flourish and bad things, like this poison ivy vine that I'm uprooting, bad things can be cut out and dealt with.